Isaac, how's Australia been?
Good, man. Oh, well, we've been locked down for a while. That's been a bit shit, but it's good to be here in America. We're only here for another day, but man, we've been everywhere. We went throughout Florida. We went to the UFC there. Saw Joe Rogan there. We had a great time there.
You saw Joe Rogan?
Yeah. We went to his show.
Tim Burton was at the show also.
It was really. It was really cool. We got
I'm not drinking anymore, Danny. Damn poured out the alcohol.
Damn it.
Got to interview Dana White for the UFC,
Really?
which was really cool. He's a very interesting guy. And
How'd you get to interview him?
I work for the UFC in Australia.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
You motherfucker. I want that
I
gig.
do a lot.
Hell yeah.
And no, had a great time with Dana. Had a really good chat with him. And then went up to New York, spent the week there, did a spot at the at Stand Up New York, and met some really interesting people. I didn't really have any contacts in New York, so it was good to meet some people there. And
Saw you did a podcast with Ryan Long.
with Ryan Long, yeah,
He's a buddy of mine too.
He's a great dude. Really enjoyed Ryan and Danny, who was the other dude there. I think that's his name.
Don't like that piece of shit.
You don't like him?
I don't like his name.
Oh, fair enough. And mate, just meeting people, which is really important. I want to tour here later in the year if I can get a visa, so I'll be able to do some shows throughout America and yeah, man, just cruising, and that's about it. But but Australia's been interesting, you know. It's
radical down there.
Yeah, the COVID lockdowns were full on. They were pretty torturous for a while, and you know, Australia, like America, split up into different states, and some states were more aggressive than others, and the premiers, who were the governors of those states, really enjoyed the power, and they got on the TV every day and announced the deaths and the infections, and you know, for some time there, we couldn't leave the house, and we couldn't leave the country, and we couldn't leave the state. Like the state borders were shut. You couldn't go from state to state. So it was pretty crazy. I didn't do stand-up for a good 6 to 8 months there, and that was pretty full on. And
that's a lifetime for a stand-up comedian, right?
Yeah.
What is it about that? You mentioned that these premiers were obsessed with power.
It's because they'd never had power before.
It wasn't just the premiers in Australia. It's as if everyday citizens were deputized, even here too. There's a story, my buddy's jiu-jitsu gym up in San Francisco. This guy is an immigrant from Brazil, finally making it in life, finally paying off his debts, bought himself a house, and every time he tried to have a couple private lessons going on in his gym during COVID, some shithead neighbors on the phone with the police, some pink-haired 45-year-old woman in San Francisco, calling them over to shut down this poor guy's gym.
That's what was happening to the gym we went to in Portland, too. They kept getting snitched on by their neighbors.
It was something about COVID. You could exercise this power. You could just start closing shit and screaming at people if they didn't have masks on. Yeah. And you were in the right if you did
People love power.
You were in the right.
And this is why if you work at a retail store and you get promoted to a manager, all of those managers turn into cunts because they just love that power. For once in their life, they have it over someone else. And in the COVID lockdowns, people had that. They could tattletale on people and all that type of shit. In our cab we got from last night, we ended up in West Hollywood at this restaurant. I didn't know it was the gay district.
Suspicious.
But, I found out very quickly. And we got in the Uber, and old love freaks out. She's like, "Where's your mask?" She gets out of the car, stands
your
like
Uber driver
3 feet away, and says, "You need to have a mask on."
By the way, 90% of them don't care, so you got a bad.
I know,
seed.
and we've caught probably 20 Ubers since we've been here, like 2 weeks ago, maybe more. And no one has had an issue. Some other guy said, "Oh, can you put a mask on?" Yeah, of course. Don't freak out and run out of the car like a fucking maniac. But she was panicking the whole time. She had the windows down the whole time last night on the way home. She had a hood on. She was freezing, but she had to clear the bad air out. People panic. People freak out. They don't understand it.